Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode on the Unleashing Potentials podcast. Joining me today is special guest Tonya Marie. How are you?
I am fantastic. Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. Can you tell our listeners where about are you in the world?
I live on the West Bank of New Orleans, Louisiana.
Mhm.
So down here in Cajun country.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. Yeah, you were telling me you guys don't have winter there.
No, it gets cold, but it's a damp cold. So
Oh,
you kind of feel it in your bones and it's kind
oh,
of dreary. But some Christmases is like 80 degrees outside. So
oh, wow.
give or take.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, Tanya, can you start by telling us who you are and what you do?
Okay, my name is Tonya Marie, and I am a certified life mastery consultant, certified through the Brave Thinking Institute,
Mm.
which is Mary Morrissey's programs, the Dream Builder and whatnot. And I came to this my whole life. I've pretty much been a positive person. And when I would know what I wanted, I would tend to do the steps to take to get what it is or where I wanted to go.
Mm.
Um, but in 2014, my son brought home the movie The Secret. And that was the first time I was really introduced to personal development of any sort. That's not just like in regular movies or whatever. And
Mhm.
so someone said, you can be, do, or have anything you want. Now, I've been told that my whole entire life, but for some reason, it awakened something inside of me.
Mhm.
And so for a couple of weeks after that, I said, well, if I could be, do I have anything I want? What would it be? And I decided that what really, really brought me alive was teaching these principles to children, and I came up with this big plan. I was gonna open my old elementary school that was it was abandoned, and I was gonna teach them through dance and music, fun stuff.
Mhm.
And so I put together a proposal. I even made an LLC. I talked to people, investors, but for some reason it just sat on my vision board. My paradigms kind of got in the way, first of all. Who are you to think you can teach these principles to children? Or you never did that before. You can't do it now. And then that was the dissuasion. And the distraction was life got in the way. Work picked up and it just got put on the side. Well, one day I was working and, I was bored and I picked up the phone and I pulled up Facebook and they were demolishing the school.
Mm.
Man, it felt like I had lost a loved one. Like I was crying. And for like a week or so later, I was like, I don't understand. It's been 7 years. I put my dream on the side. And so that day I decided to call and become a certified life coach so that I could teach these principles to adults and parents and children to help make the world a better place. And I'm so excited to be doing this, just to see the impact on people's face when they realize that their life could be better. It's an amazing thing.
Mhm. Oh, wow. I love that you do that because I think we need those type of teachings and tools to add to our everyday life, not just when we're having a bad season or we tend to focus and celebrate the good most of the time versus the bad. And I have a feeling with your work, you're giving people tools to embrace both the good and the bad. Am I correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Mm.
One of the tools is perception, and
Mm.
it's really how you look at certain situations in your life. And we put the intention of whether it's a bad situation or a good situation. But we have to realize that when bad things happen to us, it is to give us some lesson for in a future event that's
Mm.
that's coming. And so if we didn't have any bad things happen to us, we wouldn't learn valuable lessons.
Mhm.
And it's you would not know what happiness is if you didn't understand the concept of sadness.
Yeah.
So it's very important to have both of those things in your life. So it's like since I'm from Louisiana, like a gumbo of life things in your you just keep adding stuff. Man, that's going to make it better or worse or whatever. I mean,
Yeah.
this year's been a very stressful year for me. And I was certified in 2021. And so I'm trying to, still do the work that I did before, of course, to pay the bills, and then build a life coaching business. And then, realize I just wanted to be a life coach. I
Yeah.
wanted to help people. I wanted to create an impact on people.
Yeah.
But if I'm just sitting here in the office and I don't look at people and I don't advertise and I don't learn how to market or learn sales. So those are the things that kind of it was like bad things at first. Like I'm gonna have to learn these new techniques and tools. But once you get to where you overcome that fear and you make the first call and you get a no, you're like, okay, let's see how many no's I can get. And then so it's almost like making a game of what you perceive as bad into making it something that teaches you a lesson and makes you a better person.
Oh, I love your perspective on that. Because sometimes we do look at obstacles as bad, but like you said, they can be lessons. And very few of us have the strength to learn from those lessons because we've been told they're bad. Therefore, they're bad. There's nothing we can do to change the circumstance or situation or the trauma they left us with, right? Did you always wanted to do what you're doing right now?
I never really knew what I wanted to be when I grew up. When I was in high school, I wanted to be an engineer, and I went to the college that's nearby, and it was like a one-day program of, becoming an engineer. And I'm like, I didn't think that my math skills were strong enough. I didn't have the confidence that, most teenagers, they don't look at themselves as a grown-up, or they're still looking at themselves as a young person that may not have the skills that's needed to do what they want to do. But that's the good thing. You get to learn new skills. And so it wasn't till I was 44 when my son brought home this movie. And that's when I really decided, and then now I've read books like, Napoleon Hill has the 17 principles of success. And the first principle is definiteness of purpose. And most people go through their whole entire life and they don't know their purpose in life. And I'm fortunate to even have discovered it at 44, because I mean, that's not too old, and you're never too old to start something new. I mean, if you sit down and you think about, man, this really, like, the love, like I feel it in my chest, I feel it in my gut, like it brings tears to my eyes, it brings me so much joy. And if you can find a way to make money on a daily basis to do what it is that you love to do, man, those people are truly blessed.
That's true happiness. That's what you're tapping into. And I'm tapping into it by talking to you and by having a podcast. But yeah, it's hard, isn't it? Because we grow up, our parents want us to be a doctor and all those titles. And then we realize that that's not who we are, that we want to be more. We want to be what our soul calling is. Would you say it was a struggle for your family, your parents to believe in you as you were growing up?
No, not really. My parents divorced when I was 13, and anyone, this is a tragedy in your life. Like, you think you're the reason why they're divorced, or you go by your dad and they're talking bad about your mom and your mom's talking bad about your dad, and so you kind of stuck in the middle. And I think that all of those things made me who I am today. So it caused me to go through, like, I wasn't the reason my parents divorced. And if you have any listeners out there that's still thinking that they're the reason their parents divorced, it's not the case. But even your parents want you to be a certain thing, because I do have classes at the local playground now. That's a 6-week course. And I call it the beginner CEO. And so my definite purpose in life is to bring the principles of the universe to children, to teach them. And so you know, I have my first grandbaby this week. So,
Oh, congratulations.
but I didn't really have too many children in my life to like, okay, how would you like videos better, or reading books or music, or
Mhm.
to kind of see how it would work. And so I used this class as a start. And,
Mhm.
you know, the first class is You Are Unique. So, you know, just seeing these 7 to 10-year-olds look at me stupid when I'm like, you're unique.
Yeah.
Well, so and so's son or daughter, you're so and so's sister or brother, you're a cousin, you're a friend, you're this, you're that. But who are you? Like, you get the choice to decide what it is that you like,
Mhm.
what you like to eat, what you like to do. And then all those things while you're growing up, you know, you get to try new things and decide whether they're for you or not you. And
Mhm.
all of these things they're gonna create this little adult that you get to decide who
Yeah.
you are when
Yeah.
you're
Yeah. I just had a vision of an eagle. You know how when there are storms, the eagle goes towards the storm, and then other birds they hide. I see you as that for so many kids, if that makes sense, because we need people like you. I need people like you, and I'm not 10. I'm 10 at heart, but to understand, to sit with those kids and their confusion, their happiness and pain, to say, you're going to be something, and I see it, even though they don't see it. I think that's true authenticity and power that you do
Thank
that. How are you surviving, by the way, with kids?
you. Oh, we positive with that one.
Yeah.
But so to advertise it was like, do you have a 7 to 10-year-old who's having like difficulty with their emotions? Because
Mm.
like I asked a bunch of like, what is your struggles like most of all? And it's like the emotions for sure. Now some of these are my friends, and I'm just looking at them like, girl, your emotions are all over the place. So how do you expect your children's emotions not to be all over the
Yeah.
place?
Yeah.
So what I've learned most with this class is that the last 6 weeks I had the parents included in the class, and it made it much better. But the parents are the people who are teaching these children on a daily basis. So me sitting and talking to them for an hour for 6 weeks is not going to make or break these children. So
Mhm.
my main goal is to put together a program where the children learn the tech tools and techniques, and then to have like a manual for the parents that they can help guide these children to learn the techniques. And in
Mhm.
the meantime, they're learning and doing the same things. So,
Yeah.
you know, my mom used to say, do as I say, not as I do. And I think a lot of people do that with their children, but you pick up on what they're doing. I mean, you know, there's a country music song with the little boy that says the bad word, and he's like, well, Dad, I just want to be like you.
Yeah.
And that's all they want.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
If you want change in your kids, if you want generational change, like break a chain of poverty or depression or anxiety, you've got to have the courage to
Yeah.
stand up and say, I'm not going to live with this anymore. Just because
Mhm.
my parents had this problem does not mean that I have to have the problem. And
Yeah.
then you have to be a lifetime learner. You have to figure out ways. You have to learn new techniques, and not all techniques work for everybody. So
Mhm.
it's a one, you have to go on a journey, a quest
Yeah.
of your own to discover, to
Mhm. Mhm.
make the changes. But the first thing is to decide.
Yeah.
You have to make a decision and stick to it.
Yeah. Yeah. I always tell people, when they hear my story, I said, it stops with me, meaning that all the trauma from ancestral trauma, generational trauma, all of it, it stops with me. I'm the last one who's gonna feed this or entertain this dysfunction in the family. It stops with me. That's my saying.
Well,
And
good.
yeah. Thank you. Thank you. It hasn't been easy, right? Those those who are brave enough to speak and think differently, they're normally the outsider. And there can be freedom and pain in that as well. It's just embracing what is and what could be and make the best of it.
Right? But well, they could be pain in someone if you're just deciding to listen to everyone who tells you don't do that. And then what do you're pushing against what it is that you really want to do. So
Mhm.
that's also pain.
Yeah.
So it's basically choosing which pain you want. Do you want the pain of staying where you are, or do you want the pain of growth that one day you're going to wake up and you're going to be like,
Yeah.
did it?
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. Yeah. What are some of the big challenges that you've faced so far in your life?
The big challenges in my life. Well, I had my children. I started when I was 18.
Mm.
So I worked at a department store, which is not a very, you can't really raise kids on that. Um,
Yeah.
my marriage was kind of, I came from divorced parents. My husband came from divorced parents. So when we decided to get married and have children, we decided and we declared to each other that we were going to break this chain. We were not going to be, we're not going to leave our kids
Mhm.
being from divorced parents.
Mhm.
And you do choose different things, but you don't think about the consequences that it causes.
Mhm.
And so my husband and I will be married 37 years in January, but you have to work on a relationship, and you go through different times in the relationship where you fall in love and out of love, and you're mad or you hold grudges or you do this and that, but you have to always come back to each other and work it out if you want to stay long haul, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
I've but each time I went from working at the department store to a better job, to a better job, to a better job. And then, one day I always dreamed of working for myself. And I finally got fired. Or no, he was about to fire me, but it wasn't even because of something I did. It was something somebody else did. So I was taken up and he was hollering and screaming at me. And I'm like, this
Mm.
is not working out for me. And so
Yeah.
I ended up quitting. And that's when I started my abstract company, which will be 20 years old next April. And so when you're young and you're living behind a paycheck or two,
Mhm.
and then you
Mhm.
start this new business, and then you're used to living like a paycheck or two behind. So
Mhm.
the but most people don't want to start their business because they're afraid of whether their bills are going to get paid, even
Mhm.
if they're just not barely making their bills now. To jump into a business where it takes you 6 months or a year, and then you flourish, and you're like, wow, I could have did this 5 years ago.
Mhm.
I could have did this 5 years ago.
Yeah.
But as a life coach, now I understand that there is a gestation period for
Mhm.
everything.
Mhm.
So you're not going to turn 18 and graduate from high school and be like a CEO. There's certain things
Yeah.
that you have to learn in order to take the next step, to take the next step, to take the next step before you become what it is you ultimately want to become. And most people have a hard time staying focused. And this is using your will,
Mhm.
staying focused on something so long, so tedious, that you become an expert at that one thing
Yeah.
before you move on to learning something else.
Mhm.
And your pay always is always in definite proportion to your skills.
Mhm.
So when you find that one skill that you're amazing at, and to me, I have two skills at least.
Yeah, 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 I agree. Oh my, relationship goals, 37 years. You know, us millennials, we can't even stay in a relationship for 37 minutes, 37 days, 37 years. Here's how I see it sometimes, when something is not meeting our expectations in a relationship, we just toss away that person for someone else who may think they have it together, if that makes sense. Like, people don't fix things in relationships anymore. There's too many options and choices.
Yeah, but what happens if the next one's worse than the one you already
Yeah,
had?
yeah, yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
there's a reason that you got with that person in the first place.
Hmm.
There was a connection. There was a magnetism.
Yeah.
I mean, unless they're, abusing you mentally, physically,
Hmm.
or taking advantage of you, or if it's just like, I'm sick of him leaving his smelly socks on the floor,
Yeah.
why can't he pick up after himself, or leaving his water bottle? People break up with other people for, I think, the stupidest things sometimes.
Yep. Yeah.
But I'm going to tell you the secret of a relationship, to have a relationship
Mhm.
with anyone, is to give appreciation,
Mm.
give appreciation. And if you and your it, you millennials don't believe in marriage, I don't think, as much as my generation did, but
Yeah.
even if you have a partnership, so it could be a partnership in life, it could be a partnership at work, but appreciate those things that they do that you absolutely love.
Yeah.
And then when you change your focus from what they're doing that you don't like, to
Mhm.
focusing on what it is they do that you do like and you do love them, it's your perception
Yeah.
that changes. It's not the person that changes.
Mhm.
If you could get both parties to do that, appreciation is, I think, the key.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, definitely. So you've been on stage with some pretty big names. I love John Maxwell, by the way. I was on a radio show not long ago, um, with two people that works with him. I don't know how to describe what they do. They're not consulting. They have a radio show, and it was really amazing. What was your experience with those people?
Well, in 2014, after I watched The Secret, we joined a network marketing company
Mhm.
called ID Life.
Mhm.
And the CEO and the founder of that is Logan Stoute. And
Mhm.
he is he was a baseball player, and he's just amazing. Some people are just like, you can feel their energy.
Yeah.
It's great. Well, Logan and John Maxwell are friends. And
Mhm.
so a lot of the events that we had, John Maxwell came, Keith Craft came. So
Mhm.
you get to shake hands, you get to talk to people, you get to, ask questions to amazing people.
Mhm.
So anyone out there that's thinking of a side hustle, or if you join a network marketing company, any network marketing company, it doesn't matter which one it is,
Mhm.
just for the personal development
Yeah.
you get, not even if because I didn't make any money, but I still, well,
Yeah.
I wasn't a salesperson back then. Like, and I wasn't willing to learn those skills to do network marketing, but it was a stepping stone that was preparing me for today.
Yeah.
But the personal development you're introduced to at any network marketing, I mean, they have those big events. You get in the room with all of those people. I got chills thinking about being in the room. I mean,
Yeah.
like the old gospel churches where you standing up and you singing and stuff. It's a better feeling than that. It's
Wow.
it's amazing. It's amazing. And Bob Proctor was my first, mentor. I listened to all his stuff
Mhm.
day after day, year after year. I could probably just like pour out what comes out of his mouth. And he just recently passed. But, seminars, I went to his seminars. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
go to the events, man. Get in front of these people,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it's life changing.
Mhm.
Really is.
Yeah. And I think people let fear hold them back. Um, how have you overcome some fears? Because all of us have them. How did you overcome your fears?
Oh, fears. I still have fears.
Me too, ma'am.
I had a best friend when we were doing network marketing. I'm like, go talk to that person. She's like, I'm gonna throat punch you if you talk. But she didn't realize that I wasn't going to talk to the people either. Like,
Yeah.
so we were in our own little bubble. but
Yeah.
it's just like swallowing, like, but did you die? Because I have a Jeep,
Yeah.
Jeep like roll over and they put these stickers, but did you die on them? But
Mhm.
it's like, you have to face your fear. I
Mhm.
mean, I'm not saying go get in a tiger den, because that's like definite death.
Yeah.
But just walking up to someone and shaking their hand and talking to them, you're not going to die.
Yeah.
But so you take your fear and you face it. And then the next time you do it, it won't be so difficult. And
Yeah.
then before you know it, you're doing that thing that you once feared. And you're like, what was wrong with me? What was I so afraid of?
Yeah.
Like this podcast.
Mhm.
The first time I was on the podcast, I was like, I thought, to be honest with you, it's funny because the law of attraction works
Mhm.
mysteriously. I don't even know. I kind of maybe don't even want to understand it. I just want it to work, and I know it works.
Mhm.
So I'm on my mastermind, and I get this notification: you have a Zoom meeting in 5 minutes, and I'm like, I gotta go. I got this meeting. I don't even know where the meeting came from. So
Yeah.
I get on the Zoom with this lady, and I'm like, hi, I'm Tonya Marie. I'm a certified life mastery consultant. I'm like, but I have no clue who you are or why we're on this.
Yeah.
She's like, are you serious?
Yeah.
She's like, this is for blah, blah, blah summit. And she's
Oh,
like, there are people on waiting lists
yeah.
to talk to me. And I'm
Oh,
like, well,
wow.
I know that I wasn't on your waiting list. Okay, well, you're here for a reason, because
Yeah.
most of these people like you believe in all these laws. So
Yeah.
we get to talking, and she's like, we have to have an email list of 7,000 people. And I'm like, I barely have 70. And she's
Wow.
like, it's okay. It's okay. We're gonna do an interview for the preview.
Mhm.
So I was on a summit before I was even on a podcast, but I
Yeah.
knew what podcasts were, but I didn't know what a summit was. And
Yeah.
so next week, one of the summits I'm on is airing, and I've been promoting, so I've been learning emails and learning how to put links without the links.
Yeah, you're not alone.
And I
I
was afraid. I was afraid to push the button to send this email to my 70 something
yeah,
people.
yeah. I
Like,
pushed all the buttons.
what are they going to say? I mean, seriously, time, just push the button. And, and then you
Yeah.
just sit there and you fear that nobody's going to open it.
Mm.
Nobody's going to listen to you.
Mm.
Or there's always fears. I'm going to
Mhm.
have fears till the day I die. But
Yeah.
it's just like paying attention to the fears, because in coaching, one-on-one is the rule number one is to notice what you're noticing.
Mm.
So if you don't notice that you're having thoughts,
Mhm.
you're doing something on this. Bob Proctor, he talks about I'm not even going to say it right just because I want to think about it. He talks about the thermometer, the thermostat in your house.
Yeah.
Okay. So it used to be where you dialed them yourself, but now you put it on a certain temperature,
Yeah.
and if the house gets a little cold, then it turns on the heat, or if vice
Mhm.
versa with the air conditioner.
Yeah.
It's a regular, just like an airplane has autopilot. And
Mhm.
so if some turbulence or wind pushes it off course, it goes right back on course.
Mhm.
You may not even really be paying attention
Mhm.
to the things that you are doing
Mhm.
in your life that are holding you back from what it is you want,
Mhm. Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to give you an example of me. This is my cybernetic system. We all have cybernetic systems.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to make these phone calls. I'm going to call 20 people. I'm going to call 100 people, because I can't cold call people. I can't, if I don't get in front of people, they won't know about me. They won't know about my stuff. I can't make an impact on people. I can't change their lives if they don't know about me, right?
Mhm.
So I pick up the phone, I pick up the card, I think about the dishes in the sink. I mean, just that quick, right? Because I don't want to do this. I'm
Yeah.
afraid of this.
Mhm.
And so my mind says, do something else. So it says, go wash the dishes or pick up that or it's a distraction thing. So if you don't notice, okay,
Mm.
why am I feeling this way? just do the first one
Mhm.
and then get it over with. You can go do the dishes. So
Mhm.
you're not like pushing too hard on your paradigm. And
Yeah.
then come right back and make the second phone call and watch what happens and what you're trying to think about when you're trying to do something that you don't want to do.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
we have to pay attention to ourselves because we're on like autopilot most of the time.
Yeah. Yeah. I've been on autopilot for a while. I'm surprised I'm still going or functioning. Sometimes we're forced to be. Sometimes we restrict ourselves and put ourselves on there. How can we overcome limitations in life?
What type of limitations?
All of it. Yeah.
Self-imposed or
Yeah.
limitation that's
Yeah. Let's say limitations within the work that you do, if that makes it easier to explain, because there's so many limitations.
there is so many limitations. So
Mhm.
you have limitations that you may put on yourself.
Yeah.
You may be Bernadette, the TV star,
Oh, yeah.
the
Yeah.
Oprah type.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, to use as a goal.
Mhm. Mhm.
And so you may be taking this podcast as a stepping stone.
Yeah.
So how do you feel
Mhm.
about your limitations when I said that you could be as big as Oprah Winfrey?
I believe it. I said I'm trying to not let fear hold me back, because I know with my story and giving people the platform to share anything, that opens up more doors, not only for me, but for them.
Right?
But yes, I've had lots of limitations
Okay.
and I'm
All right,
fighting
let's
them
get
every
it.
day.
I'm calling you. Good
Okay.
evening,
Hello.
Bernadette. Hi, this is Tonya Marie. I am from the Oprah Network, and we would like to discuss putting you on your own show.
I'd love that. When can we start?
Tomorrow.
Okay.
All right. You don't have any limitations. So, but if you would have felt something inside, then you would have had to address whatever it was that was coming up.
Ah,
Is that
yeah, yeah,
so? Whoever's out there listening, you each have your own thing.
yeah.
What is your thing? What is your limitation that you're putting on yourself? Sometimes you have to go sit by a tree
Mhm,
for 10, 15 minutes, maybe an hour every day, and
mhm,
just quietly think about and pay attention to what thoughts come up. Bring a notebook. I'm
mhm,
like, man, I'm thinking about this. Okay, write it down.
yeah.
And I'm thinking about this.
Mhm,
Write it down. And then you can look back and say, why was I thinking about that? Like, and you can address. That's your subconscious just putting little thoughts into your conscious,
yeah.
so that you can address them. And the only way to change is to learn something new. So
Mhm,
if you think you're limited at making money,
mm,
learn a little something about how to make money.
mhm, mhm. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, definitely.
If you want to learn how to sing, take
Mhm.
a singing lesson. Somebody out there might want to be
Yeah.
the next share or right.
Mm, yeah.
So the limitations, I think any limitations,
Mm,
we put them on ourselves,
mhm,
or we allow the people around us to put limitations on us.
mm,
But I believe that each one of us is stronger than any situation or circumstance or condition that you may be giving yourself as an excuse as to why you can't move forward, at
mhm,
least one step at a time.
mhm. Yeah, yeah, I agree. Yeah. For those who are listening and watching, what would you like for them to get out of this episode?
Just to believe in themselves.
Mm,
I mean, it's easy to say to believe, and they might be like, yeah, I believe in myself, but do you? Like when you're put in a situation where you receive something, a phone call, like the law of attraction gives you what you've been asking for.
mhm,
Are you receiving it?
yeah.
Do you feel worthy of it?
Mhm,
Do you
mm,
even know what it is you want?
yeah.
You know, we have a little 10-day challenge that I provided for you to give to anyone listening out there.
Mhm,
And in the 10-day challenge, it gives you just some thoughts like, you know, you take an assessment of your life in your 4 areas, your health and well-being. Are you overweight? Do you want to lose weight? Do you just feel like you need more energy, that you can run and play with your kids or your grandkids, or you want to hold them and you pick them up and they're like, your back hurts or whatever. In your relationships with your partner, with your parents. Parents are hard. Those relationships are hard.
Yes,
Like
they are. I try to
relationships
avoid
with
them.
children. You know, you may be like, you don't get up in the morning and I have to fight with him to eat and I have to fight with him to put clothes on, and stop fighting and just pay attention to him and her or what they want, and just make small adjustments. You know, my daughter, she's got a stepdaughter, 13 years old. Mom, I can't get her up in the morning. I'm like, what is she doing? She's on her phone all night. Take her phone away.
Yeah.
At 8 o'clock, 7:30. And each time she doesn't want to get up, make it a little earlier. She doesn't get her phone.
Yeah.
I mean, these are just like basic rules of life.
Yeah.
I mean, if you don't get up and go to work, you don't get paid. You don't get the things that you want. So it's just teaching them early. Gotta get back on straight. So you have to, well, your love and relationships, your time and money freedom. You know, you may have more money than you possibly could spend, but if you're using up all your time making that money, you don't have any time to go on vacation, or you may want to go on vacation and you don't have enough money. You know, your career. Do you love what you do? You know?
Yeah.
Or things that you could, I'm not saying you have to change careers. I mean, you end up in that career for one thing. And if you've been there for over 10, 15 years, you're great at it. So change your perception a little bit. I had a conversation of one of my friends. She's like, I want to make more money. And I'm like, but you haven't worked in 20 years because your kids you were a home mom, you know, so you can't just start right at the top. I say, why don't you take it as you're making this amount of salary, and then this amount of education is coming from this position, so that the education that you're getting is something you can't lose. You can't lose it in a divorce. Nobody can take it away. Once you learn something, you know it's a value, right? And then you can take that to the next step. And she's like, that's amazing to look at it like that. So Monday, when she went back to work, I'm sure her bosses was like, wow, you're different today. I love it. It's just changing your perception. So that's what this lead magnet does. It just like, it's a free 10 days. You could do it all in one day, but if you take small steps and you learn something, and then you think about it, and then you decide whether you want to accept it or reject it, and then you move on to the next thing. So hopefully that will help people discover what it is you want. That's what I would like, the biggest takeaway. And know your worth, that you're worthy of anything that you put your mind to. You can do.
That's a big one.
If you do or have anything you want.
Yeah. Self-worth. I've struggled with that, and I know lots of people have, not feeling worthy of having what we see others have, or feeling worthy in ourselves. And I think it starts with us.
Right. You know, sometimes you have to go back and see why you feel unworthy. I mean, we're all put on here as a baby. We're all the same. We all have the same. I mean, we're here with nothing. You learn how to cry, you learn how to do whatever. So why do you feel like you're more worthy than I am, or I'm more worthy than you? And a lot of people, they look at other people and they're like, man, I wish I had what that person had. But you don't know what they're going through, because you know what? They have troubles too. And they have a bigger fish that they think that they're maybe not worthy of what they have. So it's like, when you quit looking at the whole world around you and comparing yourself to them, and let's do an evaluation of what I got going on here. You know, let's put my attributes, put the things you don't like about yourself, and then decide to change it. Like you did with your generational change. You decided, you know, I'm not going to allow this to be me anymore. I'm not going to let it determine me. And then when you have children, and you can teach your children something new, and then, but you have to allow them, when they become more aware and they have more knowledge, to decide whether it is what you want for them is what they want for themselves.
Yeah.
And it may not always be what you want.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Is there anything else we didn't cover that you'd like to touch on?
No, I think you had
Okay.
great questions.
Okay. Well, I have two questions for you as we wrap up this amazing episode. First one, which I ask every guest, what is the meaning of life for you?
The meaning of life. I think that when this is a powerful question. If you think of life as just you in your body,
Mm,
and you're like, what does my life mean to me? Or what does life in general mean to me? Because, God put us here to flourish. He made ants to eat things that die. We all have a purpose in this beautiful life of ours. And I think that my purpose in life is just to love,
mm,
because it's been in my nature my whole entire life to just be a loving person.
yeah.
And
Mhm.
you have to sometimes stop to say, you wake up in the morning and it feels like you're going right back to bed, and then you wake up the next morning. But are you taking the time to, my great grandmother used to say, smell of flowers? And it wasn't her term, I'm sure. You hear it all the time.
Yeah.
But it's like, you get in the car and the sun's in your eyes. Just be grateful that you have the eyes to see
Mhm.
the glare or something smells. You
Yeah.
may not be grateful that it smells the way it smells, but be grateful that you can smell the
Mhm.
smell, because there are people who can't see, they can't smell.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Live life with love and gratitude.
Mm,
Uh, that's
yeah.
that's I think what we were all put here to do.
Mhm. Yeah, I love that. Last question. Where can my listeners find you and support the work that you do?
Um, if you would like to set up a free session with me where we talk about you and some of the things that, if you when you go into this 10-day challenge, my information will be there, but you can set up a free complimentary session with me at TonyaMarieLifeCoach.com.
Mhm.
I have a website that's TonyaMarieBergeron.com, and then that gives all my programs and just more information.
Mhm. Mhm. All right.
But I'm
Awesome.
on Facebook, TikTok, Tonya Marie.
Yeah. Well, Tanya, thank you so much for your time, for sharing your passion journey, and for helping us all, especially the next generation. We need you. So thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Yeah, I'm super excited.
Yeah. Thank
Whole
you.
world a better place.
Yes, I agree. Definitely. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mhm.